Bonjour, welcome to the week 3 of the French online summer camp by Comme, Française. I'm glad to see you again. As you can see, maybe you can recognize Grenoble. The mairie in the background is very famous. I'm back from my holidays, but I still wanted to do something outside for you. On week 1, if you remember, we talked about French greetings. On week 2, we talked about how to sound more French with little words and expressions. And today we're going to talk about cultural faux pas. 6 topics that can be very, very helpful if you want to connect with French people, because sometimes cultural mistakes can stop a relationship and that's not very fun. As usual, you can download the lesson on commeFrançaise.com. On the blog you will find all the resources and the words and expressions mentioned in the lesson. Before we start, I wanted to say a quick word. These are trends in France. They don't apply to everybody, and some people will be more helpful, others will be more rigid about these topics. It's just for you to know these are cultural trends in the French culture. First, silence is our default mode. I know this is why French people seem rude and cold and everything, but that's not personal. Silence is our default mode, meaning that we start a relationship with silence, and as we learn to know each other, we speak more and more and more, and our even vocabulary adapts, and the topics that we talk about evolve. This is why two strangers in a bus are not going to talk, but two friends are going to talk in a different ways than if they just met. This is something we talked about in my course, Subtle French for Fitting in a very, very deep way. You can learn more about this in this course. For example, we're not as enthusiastic as other cultures. That can sound, again, cold. For example, a funny thing we have is we say pas mal. That doesn't mean like not bad. It means like it's fantastic. It can mean that. It's all about the context. Just like terrible has a double meaning, pas mal can be very, very strong depending on the context. I wanted to talk about this precise topic first because I know that very often strangers who want to practice their French can be surprised because French people are going too close, because they're giving too much too soon. So if you want to start a relationship with a French person as a friend, you have to really respect the steps of French friendship in order to not frighten them away. Again, it's not going to be against you, it's just something that we have, an instinct that French people have in the culture. The second topic I wanted to talk about is that we don't share too much information too soon. It just goes with the first one actually, but it goes deeper. For example, we don't share our first name too soon. It's funny because I've had the same neighbor for 7 years in my building. We live on the same floor. We talk about her kids, we talk about what we do, and we never shared first names. So again, this is very, very important in the French culture. Don't share too much too soon because people will be afraid, not of you, but just their instinct will say something's wrong. So this will help you build better relationship with French people. The French culture, friendship is a very important topic, and again, just like I mentioned in the first one, you have to respect the steps. We say l'amitié in French for friendship, and we have several words to talk about that. I have a full lesson on this topic if you want to learn more about that. But again, friendship has rules, and we evolve with it. The conversation evolves with it, and the way and the topics that you can mention evolve with your level of friendships. Also, a fun thing is in France, you would never marry your best friend. This is something that surprised me when I heard about it. But in the French culture, friendship and love are totally different, and you don't approach them in the same way. There are 3 topics that you should avoid or really trade very, very carefully. These are God, money, and politics. Dieu, l'argent, et la politique. Be very, very, very careful. Mentioning God is something a bit disturbing for French people because mostly faith and religion and beliefs are something that's private. It's okay to have a religion. It's okay to believe in something, in God, but it's something private that you would share with other believers, but not spread and advertise to everybody else. Also, money can be even worse because it can very, very quickly be understood as bragging, and we really don't like this kind of bragging about money. And politics is very often just unnecessary because you don't want to be seen as the ignorant tourist asking questions just because you heard that on the news. We're not always on holidays, we're not always on strike, and yes, Paris is safe and France is very, very safe as well, so you don't have to worry about that. However, if you feel like asking questions, just learn about the topics and then be polite and open-minded to ask these questions to your French friends. The fifth topic is one of my favorites because it's about food. Food is sacred in France, so everything you would do to not respect the food would not be seen properly and can be a big cultural faux pas. La nourriture est sacrée, as we say in French. Whether you bought it or you cooked it, you have to respect it. And everything we have around food is about social life. It's not necessarily about feeding yourself. We say don't leave food on the plate, don't ask for doggy bags, and don't waste food. That's very, very important. The point of a meal in France is to have a good time with your friends and family. It's not about the food itself. That's why we always eat together. You will almost never see anyone eating alone or eating in front of their computers, for example, at work. That's not very well seen. Food is social, food is sacred, is very important in the French culture. At last, the sixth topic is something that I don't really like because it's a big cliché that's always very, very boring. It's all the clichés about French people's sex life. And the phrase we hear a lot from people who don't even speak French is Voulez-vous coucher avec moi? Which comes from this song from Moulin Rouge. Voulez-vous coucher avec moi? Do you want to have sex with me? That's rude, and worse, it's not new and it's not a fun joke, so just avoid it. Also, everything that is a cliché about French people's attitude to sex, just avoid it. It's a cliché or it's completely something you don't understand or it's something from the past, but that's not a reality of everyday French people. We have maybe more liberal views around marriage and life because we assume that humans are just humans, we're not perfect, but it doesn't mean that everybody has a mistress or a lover. That's completely wrong. That's a huge cliche, and asking about it is just rude and shows that you don't understand everything about our culture. Today I really wanted to talk about these topics because they can help you understand the mistake that you made in the past or avoid mistakes in the future, understand my culture better when you're watching a movie, talking to people, watching a TV program, reading a newspaper or a book. Because these misunderstandings don't say that something is right or wrong, they're just differences. And by helping you understand them, you can enjoy my culture better. So now that we've been through lesson 3 of this online summer camp, tell me, what did you learn today? Qu'est-ce que tu as appris aujourd'hui? You covered many, many topics, and maybe for you it will be one that will make you understand a mistake you made in the past, or something you want to avoid in the future, or something you saw on a TV show that you didn't understand. Tell me in the comments, I want to hear from you, and if you can, write in French. It's a good opportunity to practice. Again, you can download the PDF of the lesson on the blog of Comme, Française. You will get all the vocabulary, the expressions, and extra resources that I give you with links to the episodes that are mentioned in this lesson. If you learned something today, please share this lesson with a friend. That will be very, very helpful and they will like it. I will see you next week for useful French for you for everyday situations in France and abroad. À la semaine prochaine, salut!